Threat level: human, the attack vector you can't patch. In April of 2026, a single phishing platform was driving hundreds of Microsoft 365 compromises every day, according to Microsoft's Vice President of Security Research speaking to the Register. A security-conscious employee receives what looks like a document-sharing request. They follow the prompts on a real Microsoft page. They never enter their password. Their multi-factor authentication works exactly as designed, and the attacker walks straight into their email anyway. This episode is about why that happens, and why MFA was never the finish line you were told it was. Incident setup. We are going to look at two separate threat actors from the spring of 2026 because together they tell one story. The first is Kali365, a Telegram-based phishing-as-a-service platform the FBI warned about in an advisory published in May of 2026. First seen in April, Kali365 lets criminals capture legitimate authorization tokens and reach Microsoft 365 environments without ever intercepting a password. The second is a group Microsoft tracks as Storm-2949. In a case study published in May of 2026, Microsoft's Defender Security Research Team documented how this actor turned one compromised identity into a cloud-wide breach, exfiltrating thousands of files and reaching the victim's production Azure environment. Different tools, different actors, same uncomfortable lesson. In both cases, multi-factor authentication was present, and it functioned perfectly. The attackers did not break it. They went around it. How the attack worked. First, initial access. Start with Kali365. It abuses something called the OAuth device authorization grant, a legitimate sign-in flow built for devices like smart TVs that cannot show a full login screen. Here is the mechanism, and here is the analogy that makes it click. Device code phishing is a valet stand scam. The attacker hands you what looks like your own claim ticket and says, "Just drop this at the front desk for me." The front desk, Microsoft's real login page, is genuine. The ticket is genuine. But you have just authorized the attacker to collect the car, and your keys never left your pocket. Step by step, the attacker starts a login on their own device, which generates a short code. Kali365 sends a branded email, impersonating a trusted service like Adobe, DocuSign, or SharePoint, carrying that code and a link to the real Microsoft verification page. The victim visits the genuine page and enters the code, unknowingly authorizing the attacker's device. Next, execution. Microsoft then issues OAuth access and refresh tokens to the attacker. Think of an OAuth token as a valet ticket for your account, and the refresh token as the ticket stub that quietly prints a fresh ticket every hour until someone cancels it at the source. With those tokens, the attacker reaches Outlook, Teams, and OneDrive with no password and no further prompt. Incident responders at Arctic Wolf found attackers then planting malicious inbox rules to suppress security warnings and extend their stay. Now escalation. Storm-2949, which took a different door. This actor abused self-service password reset, the feature that lets locked-out employees recover their own accounts. Picture a keycard reset kiosk in your lobby. The attacker calls ahead pretending to be facilities, talks the employee into tapping confirm, and the kiosk does exactly what it was built to do. It hands out a new card. Microsoft assessed that Storm-2949 impersonated internal IT support, telling users their account needed urgent verification and instructing them to approve MFA prompts as part of a routine reset. Once the user approved, the attacker reset the password and stripped the existing authentication methods, then enrolled Microsoft Authenticator on their own device, locking the real user out entirely. They repeated this on 3 more accounts, enumerated the directory through the graph API with a custom script, and reached the organization's key vault. A key vault is the digital key cabinet that holds the passwords to everything else. They opened it in 4 minutes and read dozens of secrets inside. Why it worked. Here's the part that matters most. Because neither of these was a software vulnerability. Both attacks used systems that were working correctly. Multi-factor authentication is the bouncer checking wristbands at the front door. In the Kali365 case, the attacker did not forge a wristband and did not fight the bouncer. They came in through the loading dock, where nobody checks. MFA was not bypassed. It was simply never asked, because the token was issued before MFA entered the picture. That is why the victim saw no suspicious login alert. From Microsoft's side, a legitimate person completed a legitimate authentication on a legitimate page. The human lever is misplaced trust in context. The employee believed they were authorizing a document tool. an action that feels routine and low stakes. The page was real, which defeats every instinct we have trained into people. We tell users to check the URL. The URL was correct. Storm-2949 leaned on authority and urgency. A caller claiming to be IT support, an account that supposedly needs verification right now, and a prompt the user is told is just routine. Approving an MFA prompt feels like compliance with security, not a breach of it. And critically, the attacker targeted IT staff and senior leadership, the people most likely to hold privileged access and most accustomed to handling urgent requests. The deeper organizational failure is treating MFA as a destination. Once it is enabled, the box is checked and attention moves on. But self-service password reset is an accessibility feature, the device code flow is a convenience feature, and both become weapons the moment a human is persuaded to complete one legitimate step on an attacker's behalf. There is no patch for a correctly functioning system being socially exploited. Operational impact. The consequences scale fast. With Kali365, captured tokens enabled immediate mailbox access, contact harvesting, lateral phishing to other staff, and keyword monitoring to set up business email compromise, plus administrative actions if the token belonged to a privileged account. Finally, impact. Storm-2949 shows where this ends. From 4 compromised identities, the actor downloaded thousands of files from OneDrive in a single action, deliberately seeking IT documents on VPN and remote access configurations. They then pivoted into production Azure, manipulating storage and database firewall rules, extracting storage keys, and exfiltrating data over multiple days. One socially engineered phone approval became a full compromise of an organization's cloud estate. And the barrier to entry is trivial. Arctic Wolf, who examined the Kali365 platform, found pricing from $250 for 30 days up to $2,000 for a full year. This is a franchise model for fraud, where the person working the counter never had to learn how to cook. Lessons learned. 3 concrete controls, not slogans. First, restrict or monitor the OAuth device authorization grant flow in Entra ID with conditional access. Most environments do not legitimately need it, and blocking it closes the Kali365 door entirely. Second, harden self-service password reset. Require phishing-resistant authenticators, gate resets behind stronger verification, and ensure privileged users already have a registered MFA method to block malicious enrollments. Third, apply least privilege to your Azure roles and watch for anomalous Graph API and management plane activity, so one compromised identity cannot open the key cabinet. The lesson from both Kali365 and Storm-2949 is the same. The attackers did not defeat Microsoft's authentication. They used it correctly, with stolen authorization. MFA is table stakes, not a finish line. The organizations that hold the line are the ones that design controls around what a legitimate sign-in actually looks like in their environment, not just whether a sign-in happened. If this analysis was useful, subscribe, so you do not miss the next one. All sources used in this video are listed in the description.
This case study is a mirror. Somewhere in your organization, a similar interaction is happening right now, a conversation, a request, a moment of urgency, trust, or confusion. The question isn't whether these attacks are targeting your people. The question is whether anyone recognizes the pattern before it turns into an incident. New episodes every week. If this kind of analysis is useful to you, subscribe and leave a like. It helps more people find it.